All right, let's get to our power rankings tonight. Without further ado, let's jump in and see where we are sitting with our weekly power rankings. We do this every single week, and just as a disclaimer, we will be ranking all of these teams based on how they are playing right now, not who's the best team in the league and who's projected to win the championship, not, who are the contenders and who, whatever. Like, you could have the Colorado Rockies, one of the worst teams in baseball, go on a 10-game win streak, and they might be one of our top 10 teams that week for the power rankings because of how they're playing. They're never going to do that, so we're never going to have to worry about that problem, but I'm just making an example.
But we do have something similar this week.
So this is how we're playing right now, not anything else. So just keep that in mind. You know the rules. Let's dive into our top 10. And first off the bat, let me pull this up real quick on my side. We have the Royals coming in at number 10. Royals are 19-13 right now, currently on a 2-game win streak. They are 2 games back of Cleveland in the AL Central as we sit right now. Still have the best run differential of every team in that division. They're plus 50. Even Cleveland, the number 1 team in that division, is only plus 46. So still doing some things right. 6-4 in their last 10. We have them here at number 10.
This team has been really top heavy, which is still an improvement over the last few years. But you have Salvador Perez, who forgot he's supposed to be old and regressing. He's batting .355 with 7 home runs, 27 RBIs. He's looking like a candidate for the AL AL MVP, along with guys like O'Neal. You got Bobby Witt, who's living up to the potential he had a few years ago, finally. And then a guy you might know, Seth Lugo, a guy who sucked as a reliever for the Mets, goes to the Padres, becomes a good starter there, comes to Kansas City, he's their ace. He has been an absolute ace for the Royals. Now, overall, it's this, outside of these really good players, there's not a whole lot of depth, which is why they're going to struggle to make it anywhere. But this is still a massive improvement from previous years. So, if they can, maybe they could go out, maybe buy some depth at the trade deadline. They could be a dark horse candidate.
Yeah, you take a look at their roster and you see, like you said, you talked about Bobby Witt, you talk about Salvi turning back the clock. They play in arguably, last year the division winner, Minnesota, was literally the only team to finish above 500. So, this to see these teams playing above 500, the Royals especially, they've done a really good job with their youth movement. It's almost as if they're like Baltimore in a way, with the way that they've revamped their team. With Bobby Witt, Vinny Pasquantino, even Michael Garcia. They're trying to figure it all out. They are top heavy. You got Salvi and Bobby Witt batting in the 300s. The rest of the team is a little bit lower than that, but with the sample size that I got through the first month of April, can they sustain this pace? With their pitching, like you said, Seth Lugo has been phenomenal. 5-1, 1.6 ERA. What's that?
Just said somehow.
Yeah,
Their
pitching staff has been one of the best. You take a look at them being 19-13. They just took 2 or 3 from the Jays, and then they lost 2 or 3 to the Tigers. But this is a team that I see in the future is going to be. I think if they can get a couple more of those young guys to come up and to hit and be a little bit more consistent, they'll be fine. Just look at Bobby Witt. If they get anybody close to him. He's batting 320, 4 homers, 18 RBIs. His only problem is he doesn't take walks. He has the speed. He's a 5-tool player, but 28 strikeouts to only 8 walks. He's got to knock that number down and balance it a little bit. You get the 9 doubles, the 4 triples, so what you're getting out of him. His vision just needs to come up a little bit, and he'll be. He is the guy there, in my opinion, to take over for Salvi, because when you talk about the Royals, you usually talk about Salvador Perez with his power, the type of catcher he is. But the future is bright in Kansas City.
Yeah, no, I mean, Salvador Perez, he's been absolutely just killing it. I mean, as far as what he's been able to do by the end of April, at this point, he hasn't done that. Last year, he was not even close. Again, 355, 7 home runs, which is more home runs than he had. More RBIs. He had 26 this time around, more so than what he had last season. Last season struck out 23.3% of the time. Now it's down to 10.7, and his walk rate went from 3.3 to 8.2. So everything is up. Everything. He's been absolutely just stellar early on in the season. So, hey, shout out to Salvi. But that's why we have the Royals here coming in at number 10. All right. Number 9 on our power rankings, we have the Seattle Mariners coming in next on this list. Seattle leading the American League West, 17-14, currently a half game above the Texas Rangers, who we've highlighted plenty of times in our power rankings already. But 7-3 in their last 10. They've lost their most recent game, but they're still playing some really good baseball at this point to lead the AL West.
This team is being carried by their pitching so far. Like right now, they remind me of the Milwaukee Brewers of recent years, where the offense, it doesn't really have that much. Yeah, they have Julio Rodriguez, who's been on a bit of a slump recently, just got out of it. They have talent on the offensive side, they just can't get it going. On the pitching side, however, they have 3 guys that would be aces on most teams. The bullpen's been great as well. Like this team is winning games by pitching. If some of their more talented hitters can get back to form, the Mariners could be a threat in the American League. Especially with how weak it's been lately. If they can just take that next step forward, they could run away with the division. They have the talent, the pitching's amazing. They just need that little bit extra on the hitting side, and they're good to go.
Yeah, they're 27th overall in batting average in Major League Baseball right now as we sit, and they're ranked in the bottom third of the AL in runs per game. If they get any of it figured out at any point to go along with the pitching, I feel like they're in a good spot, Doc.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, if you just take a look at the sample size of just the last 3 series alone, the Rangers, the Diamondbacks, the Braves, they've won every single series. They've won 2 out of 3 versus all those teams. The Rangers, obviously defending World Series champions. The Diamondbacks faced the Rangers in the World Series, and then the Braves, the powerhouse, to win 2 out of 3 in all 3 of those series. This is the Seattle team, excuse me, that I expected out the gate. They have power. They, like you said, their contact though is their problem. Cal Raleigh, one of the best. I think he's going to be one of the best catchers power wise by the end of the season. You have Julio, Mitch Haniger, Polanco, France, Raleigh, Crawford. The problem is Julio and Ty France are the only ones really hitting for any type of average. 270, 253. They have Josh Rojas, who's basically their third baseman now, but he's batting 313, but it's a smaller sample size. He's only had 67 at bats, but this is a team that the pitching is doing its thing. Castillo, Gilbert, Miller, Kirby, Hancock. These guys, they're doing good. Castillo 3.46 ERA. He got roughed up, I think, in one outing. That's why. Gilbert has a 2 ERA. So does Bryce Miller. So this is a team that definitely can improve on the contact front. But other than that, I mean, at 17-14, considering the start that they had, they're six. They've won 6 out of their last 9 games. And they play the Astros tomorrow, who has been arguably, like was said in the chat, one of the worst and the biggest disappointments in baseball this year. So I again, this was a team, if you read back to my initial article, I had posted that Seattle was going to be there, and I kind of agree with what Rec was saying, that this team could be at the top, especially with Houston struggling. But this is the thing about baseball. It's April. Come check in with me at the end of September into October, and see where they're at. But Seattle, to me, if they can get their contact up, could be there come October.
Yeah, and also, by the way, shout out STG, home of the Dungeness Crab Pizza. So we talked about that last night. Seattle has this food item on their menu that is a pizza with Dungeness crab and butter and garlic and all this stuff. Got pretty good reviews. That, by the way, it's up pending upload to YouTube, so that's going to be live on YouTube soon. It's for some reason taking forever to upload, but that will be on our YouTube channel for you to check out all the other food items from across Major League Baseball. But shout out to the Mariners for that. Go to our YouTube. Yeah, I need the YouTube upload ASAP. Don't worry, it's processing, so to speak.
It's coming.
It's coming. It's just YouTube is being a little bit.
It's coming in. It's coming in hot, just like the food.
Yes, sir.
Unless it's the tater tots from Milwaukee.
I showed the coworkers a list you put together. We had fun judging the foods. I love it. I love it, STG.
Nice.
Don't worry. I'll ping you in our Discord. By the way, if you guys want access to our Discord, there it is right there. But I'll ping you in the Discord there, STG, so you can know when it's uploaded. You got that VIP. I got you. Stacka, what's going on? Kentucky Oaks pick tomorrow. Lemon Muffin. Hoping Dwayne Lucas, aka the coach, bags another win. First of all, I love all those names. Second of all, I usually do my Kentucky Derby preview. I didn't do one this year, mainly because 1, I ran out of time, and 2, there's been a lot of stuff going on with like Derby and horses, like kind of controversies and everything else. So, it's kind of like put a hindering on it, but I still love the Derby. I'll still be betting it. Can't wait. Always love the Derby. Always love the Derby. All right. Next, we have the Milwaukee Brewers coming in here at number 8 on our list. The Milwaukee Brewers are currently leading the NL Central by 1 game over the Chicago Cubs. Winners of 2 straight, but over the last 10 have only gone 5-5. But still doing some nice things, staying afloat in the division. So here we go. Milwaukee Brewers. I guess the big question for me is, like, what exactly are the Brewers this season? Like, what are they? Are they a team that is like going to sustain this? Like, they got what? They got off to a torrid start, right? And then, gave up 30 runs in a span of 2 games to the Yankees, over the past weekend, right? Which is crazy. But then they're still, I don't know. Like, are they? What are they?
Oh, I would say they traded in some of the pitching for hitting, which with how bad their hitting was under Craig Counsell, they'll take it. Like you still have guys there. You still have Freddie Peralta leading the charge. You have Colin Ray, who stepped up, and then you have, I think it was you have 5 different relievers who have posted at least 1 save, with Payamps and Uribe leading the way. Which they're kind of going by like a closer by committee. They still have the pitching, not as good as it was with Corbin Burns, but pitching is still there. Offense has picked way up since previous years. William Contreras looks like one of the top offensive catchers in the league. Got Bryce Terang finally realizing his potential. Of course, Jackson Churio, he might need to go down to the minors, but he's going to have a bright career eventually. Essentially, it's just like trying to get the pitching back closer to what it used to be, not giving up those 30-run stretches. But again, like when you have like elite pitching and garbage hitting, you'll take the balance a little bit. Like you'll take away some of the pitching if it means you can figure out how to hit more. You'll take it. It's something new, and it's something that Brewers fans are probably okay with.
Yeah, I mean, you take a look at this team in the offseason, you trade your ace Corbin Burns to the Orioles, and you think into yourselves like, okay, what is this team doing? Are they rebuilding? Are they staying on the fence? Are they going to go all in? What are they doing? And they come out, and like you said, the start was one thing. Then you go and you give up 30 runs to the Yankees in 2 games, and then you get shut out by the Rays 1-0, right? But this is a team, if you ask me, that has the grit, has the tenacity to is more likely to win those closer games. And they're hitting and they're pitching. You take a look at Wilson Contreras. He's batting .345. 41 for 119, 25 RBIs. You got Willie Adames. And then Rhys Hoskins, and you're looking at all these guys, and you're like, what's going on? How are they only 19-11? And then you take a look, and their pitching has been phenomenal. Freddie Peralta and Colin Ray have a combined, I think, 3.3 ERA. So, like he was saying, like Rick was saying, with pitching, you're going to have the ups and downs. But for me, trading away an perennial all-star, MVP in Corbin Burns, and you're 19-11 in a NL Central that's going to be tight all season. I do think that this is a team that if they get a lot of their hitting focused, that things will look up for them, because Contreras and Adames have a 1.6 and a 1.8 WAR, so they're clearly carrying. Bryce Terang has a 1.5, Blake Perkins has a 1.1, so they have hitters. And whose name I didn't mention? Christian Yelich. He's only played in 11 games, and this team's 19-11, basically playing without him. So if they can straighten out that side of it and stay healthy and stop striking out a lot, they have 273 strikeouts to only 100 and change in walks. I think they'll be okay. They have power. They have speed. Their pitching has been surprisingly good considering who they got rid of. Do I think they win the Central? They have a good chance, but if their pitching can sustain where they're at, then they can make a run in the postseason. But there's no way they're getting past the powerhouses at the top in the NL.
Yeah, earlier this week, Fangraphs gave Milwaukee a 47% chance of making the postseason, while Baseball Reference had a 96% chance. And it's considering the latter is probably more realistic, given the fact that the Brewers' toughest games should be coming up now on the schedule, with multiple West Coast trips. I mean, they got some work to do, but yeah, they're just kind of this polarizing. Like, what are they in the grand scheme of things? So let's see, what do we have in the chats? Oaks is tomorrow, Derby Saturday. Yep. By the way, Saturday. So one of my favorite weekends is Cinco de Mayo weekend. Always. Cinco de Mayo weekend, you got the Derby. You always have a major fight, whether it's boxing, UFC. You always have MLB, NBA, NHL playoffs. You always, it's Cinco de Mayo, so you're drinking tequila all weekend. It's just the best, you know? You just, like, there's nothing. It's one of my favorite weekends on the calendar by far. It's not even close. So let's see. All right, let's get to number 7. Oh, Sarah, getting into that Kentucky Derby party. Love it. I love Derby parties.
Nice.
Mint juleps and getting dressed up. You know what I'm gonna get, Chris? Birria tacos. I need to yeah. SDG, just keep rubbing it in, because I need to get me some myself, and I guess I'm just the odd man out here. Me and Chairman, obviously, because we've never had it before. So just rub it in. Rub it in. I get it. Next up, we have the Cleveland Guardians coming in here next on the rankings. Coming in at number 7. The Cleveland Guardians, we already talked about them a little bit. Still 2 games above Kansas City Royals in the AL Central right now. 20-10 on the season. And yeah, still doing a lot of nice things to stay up in that division. 8-4 at home, 12-6 on the road. So they're doing things good on the road there as far as getting dubs on that front.
Just like the Royals, this team is very top heavy. Like you have Stephen Kwan, who's just hitting everything in sight. Jose Ramirez, like he's tipping off a little bit, but he still has some power in there. I think who's it? You got Andres Jimenez. If you have these top guys you can hit, but then outside the top guys, there's not a whole lot there. But now with the thing here, if they can get a lead, they will hold on to it. They have one of the best bullpens. Of course, the starting rotation's kind of iffy with Shane Bieber out. They still have Tanner Bibby, who's doing all right, but if they can hold a lead into like the 7th, 8th inning, game's over. You got Scott Bottle, you got Emmanuel Clase, one of the best closers in the game. Like it's really like, of course, baseball is 9-inning games, but for the Guardians, it's more like a 6 or 7 inning game, because you are not scoring on this team after the 7th inning. Again, game there is hard with the top heavy offense, with the weakened pitching staff without your ace, but the bullpen is probably the best in baseball.
Yeah, I mean, you can't argue that. I mean, you take a look at, who they played. They swept the Athletics. They won 2 of 3 against the Sox. They played the Braves tough in Atlanta. They go on the road to the Astros. It was a 1-1 series until tonight. And, all the right things were there. And like Sarah said, she put 4 units on them, and I would have done the same thing as a team that was 12-6 on the road at one point, actually had the best road record in the major leagues. So, and they were playing a Houston team that just has been despicable this year. They're 10-20. It's just a bad night. Especially the game was close going into that inning where they put up a crooked number on the Guardians. But as a team as a whole, this was somebody that I'd said again in my article that should be in the contention for their division. In the Central. He had said, Kwan's been killing it, batting .360. He's their trendsetter. He's got 27 runs scored, 2 triples, 6 doubles. Ramirez still batting .244. He's still a guy that strikes fear into pitchers when he's out the plate. Jimenez is batting .282. Naylor's batting .269. Naylor has 7 homers and 24 RBIs. So their production is there. Can the rest of the team do that is the problem. You have 3 guys with 17 or more RBIs, and then there's 3 guys with 12, and it drops off completely. So, talking about their hitting's good, but I agree with what Rex said with their bullpen is just phenomenal. A team of 3.35 ERA. Logan Allen has struggled a little bit, but Tanner Bibby has done good. Tristan McKenzie's been all right for them. No Bieber, no problem for Cleveland. They're 20-10. You don't even have your best pitcher, and you're 10 games above 500. You're doing something right. So they need to make sure that their starters can get them some quality innings and rest that bullpen, because it's going to be pretty hard to win ball games if you're losing before you can get to your studs, your relievers, your closers. Emmanuel Clase, one of the best in the game, as he had mentioned earlier. Their bullpen is one of the best, but their starters, especially since Bieber went down, that's the one spot to me. If you ask me what their Achilles heel is, it's their starters right now. They did have Ben Lively come up, with three games that he's pitched, and he has an ERA of 2.3. So they have some guys that can fill in, but they're going to need to add an arm or figure out a way to get an arm, because that Central is going to stay competitive. I feel like to the point where there's going to be so much stress on their bullpen that it's going to run them down by the All-Star break. And then, August, September comes around. Those are when the games really matter after the All-Star break. And can they perform being, having to go in and pitch extra innings because their starters can't get the quality starts that they need to get to those relievers? That's the question for me going into the rest of the season.
Yeah, Cleveland Guardians, they are 6th in team ERA, and they are 10th in batting average across their team. Also, too, 4 straight extra inning games recently, tying franchise record. They lost 2 of the 4. So, yeah, they're just playing them extras,
They're losing today. They're losing right now 8-2 in the ninth.
No extras, I don't think, tonight.
Sarah, Bieber won't be back this year. He had to go under Tommy John, so he's done for the season.
Yeah, not great. All right, number 6. We have the New York Yankees coming in on the power rankings here. 20-13, 1 game behind the AL East leading Baltimore Orioles. Lost their last game, but still 5-5 in their last 10. And kind of hanging up there with Baltimore. Red Sox kind of, close behind by a game and a half after the Yankees for that second spot. But Yankees, number 6.
There's a big difference with this year's Yankees and last year's Yankees. Which last year, the entire team revolved around 2 guys, Garrett Cole and Aaron Judge. When they both got hurt, there was nothing left on the team, and they were just in shambles. They just kept losing. Like, they had to have those 2 to win anything. This year, Garrett Cole is out. Aaron Judge is struggling at the plate. He's batting under 200, and they're still winning games. The pitching has been great. Sorry. So overall, the pitching has been great. The whole rotation has been solid. They don't really have headlines, just a bunch of redemption stories that are kind of going under the radar, which is rare for the Yankees. Which the starting rotation has been great. Clay Holmes is up there with Clase for best closer in the game. The pitching is doing it. The hitting, not as much, but it did fix Juan Soto. Juan Soto, he was a generational talent in Washington, goes to San Diego, struggles to reach that peak. Comes to the Yankees, and he's demolishing everything he sees. Of course, you still have Volpe. You still have Anthony Rizzo. There's still plenty of guys around this team. They're finally showing the talent that they've previously had. Again, with the pitching, just with everyone on the pitching staff finally coming back, the Yankees could be a threat to lose in the ALCS again.
Well, here's real quick before Doc jumps in here. Here's a wacky fact. The Yankees have already been shut out 5 times in 32 games, but yet lead the AL on base percentage and are 3rd in runs scored. So when they score plenty. They've grounded into more double plays than any other team. So there's, I guess, some inconsistencies across some of how they're playing baseball right now. But Doc, your thoughts on the Yankees?
Well, for starters, that stat you gave, I think has become a little bit skewed because of the Brewers series where they scored 30 runs in 2 games. But yeah, sure. I mean, you take a look at it, and I see the difference for them though is Volpe. Can he sustain what he's doing to get on base, to get them going, to get those innings, to get them in, to get that average up? He's batting .262. He's doing better than he did last year. I feel like he's going to be the key to them staying consistent, especially with Judge struggling, batting under the Mendoza line. He's batting .197. He struck out 40 times in I think 122 at bats. So 1 out of every 3 at bat is a strikeout. This is a team that I had finishing a game behind Baltimore in this division anyway. I have them being a high win total. They're seeing the ball well. Obviously that those 30 runs in 2 games kind of skews all the stats, but I do think they're hitting okay. They're 246. And that's as a team with Judge struggling as bad as he is. Soto has a 2.0, just about a 2.0 WAR. Volpe's is 1.2. If he can stay consistent and get on base and get them going, and Soto can knock him in, those are 1 or 2 runs. And then, like you talked about with the pitching, Nestor Cortez at 3.8, Rodon at 3.6, Stroman at 3.69, Gill at 3.19, and the same with Schmidt. If that pitching can stay and keep it at 3 runs or 4 runs, you have a chance to win that ball game with the lineup you have. I don't care about the average right now because it's just ended April. It's the first month of baseball. You still got plenty of months to go, but the strikeouts for Judge, his vision has to improve for this team to make it past the ALCS. The pitching is there, but the problem with Judge struggling is now it's putting the pressure on everybody else. And thankfully for them that Soto has carried the torch with 8 homers and 25 RBIs. His OPS is over 1. So can the rest of the team continue to do what they need to do? Last year we looked at Judge and looked at everything that he did, and then you come into this season and you tell me he's batting 200 or under 200. I say, hey, it's April. Now, if we get into June and he's still at or below the Mendoza line at 200, then it's going to be time for me to, if I'm a Yankees fan or somebody in that organization, it's going to be time to have to do something because Verdugo has done all right for them. As a team, they're hitting, but is something going to happen with Judge? You feel like at some point Judge is going to come out of it. At what point do you start to worry if he doesn't really get out of it and he still struggles and stays around the 200 mark? Saying where Stanton usually is around 220. They have 40 home runs. They have 142 RBIs. You're not too worried, but if it continues as a trend, that's going to be the issue for them. The pitching has been good enough to keep them there, but the problem is now going to be, can the hitting keep where they're at to help the pitching? That's where I stand with the Yankees.
Fair points. I worry pressure in crucial situations, says Sarah.
Exactly.
OU, back again. What's up, OU? How we doing? Doing a quick baseball stream tonight, my man. We're just hanging out, talking some baseball. Quick 1 hour stream, which we're already at the hour point. So, we have a few more teams to get to before we wrap things up. So hang with us. We'll be here. Obviously, guys, we're halfway through the rankings, but we will not be live this Sunday. Scotty and I will be traveling to the East Coast. We will be doing our laundry room stream next week. Like all you guys who have been here before know, we always have one of those a year. So we'll be getting after that next Wednesday. But yeah, it'll be fun. It's hype in the chat. Let's go. It started out as a joke, and we were like, let's just get one quick 30-minute stream out, while we're on vacation because we miss you guys. And it's turned into a cult classic with our community. So we have to bring it back. It's a tradition, exactly. We have to have it. So
there's only one cult better than the laundry room stream. And you know what that cult is.
Well, there's only what better?
Only one cult that's better than the laundry room stream.
What's that?
This one.
Hold on one sec. Sorry. Just need Knicks plus 3.5. We crushed all picks today. Feels good to be a gangster. All right, cashing in. There you go.
You got really close on that Boston one.
The what?
Yeah, really close, but it paid off.
Yeah. All right, let's get to the top of our power rankings here, and let's get after it.
Get back on here.
Next with the Philadelphia Phillies. Philadelphia Phillies are a half game back of the Atlanta Braves in the NL East, 21-11 record, 7-3 in their last 10. Currently riding a 2-game winning streak as we sit now. Shout out to Alex Boehm, National League Player of the Week last week. 17 for 30, 567 with 8 doubles, 8 RBIs, 6 multi-hit games. Fast forward this week, he's already got 3 RBIs on Monday and another 2-hit game Tuesday. Now has a 362 average with 30 RBIs in his first 32 games. I would say that's pretty good.
Roger.
So yeah, that's been helping the Phillies as of late. We have them here at number 5.
Yeah, I mean, you take a look at them and you say, okay, they're in the East. You talk about the Braves, and then it's like, who do you talk about? Well, of course, you talk about Philly. They're there. They have the hitters. They have pitching. You look at their last series. They took 2 or 3 from the Angels. They should have won against. They should have swept the Angels. They lost 6-5, but then they swept the Padres before that. And this is a team that has hitter. They have hitters. They have pitching. Trey Turner's at 336. 26 runs scored. You got Schwarber with 8 homers, 19 RBIs. What you're getting from him. You're getting the power. He has 24 runs scored. So they're getting the production that they need to get out of players. And we already talked about Alex Bohm with his 362 average. He has 30 RBIs, by the way. 30. He has 42 hits and 116 at bats. So you know what you're getting on offense. The offense can show up every single game. And then we go to the pitching, and and you talk about Zach Wheeler, a sub-2 ERA, Ranger Suarez, a sub-1.5 ERA. Nola, who's usually been a stud. He has the highest ERA, the second highest of their starters at 3.2. Spencer Turnbull, who was in Detroit for a while, he's at 1.67. They have, I think, 15 or 16 quality starts. So their pitching is getting deep into games. They're doing what they need to do to win games. So this is another team that I had talked about in my article that was going to be a one to look out for, especially playing in a division with the Braves in the East. So at 21-11, they're hitting on all cylinders, literally and figuratively. The pitching is dominating. This is a team that is scary good. Now, if they can maintain this the whole season, they are obviously going to be a major contender. But can they beat the Dodgers or the Braves when it really matters in the postseason? They've been there before. They know how to handle business. I would not be shocked if we talk about Philly into late September, into October as a team to look out for.
Yeah. Again, this team has all the time in the world. They got hitters all over the place. Kyle Schwarber with 8 home runs doing his thing. Trey Turner finally living up to that contract after an abysmal first season with Philly. They have talent everywhere. The straight pitching core. Nearly everyone looks like a Cy Young candidate at this point. The problem comes to the bullpen, especially the back end of the bullpen. They don't have a guy to get you holds. They don't have a guy to get you saves. If they can get a good closer and a good late inning reliever, this team is a World Series contender. They have talent all over the place, except where it matters most. It's like the opposite of Cleveland. In Cleveland, once you get past the first 6 innings, game's pretty much decided. For Philly, the game does not start until the 6th or 7th inning. That's when everything really gets kicking off. So all they gotta do is find someone to close these games out, to hold these leads, and there's not much that could stop them.
There you go. Shout out to Chairman. I would really rank the Guardians higher. Guardians World Series. Come on. Yeah, I mean, they might climb.
Right.
They might climb at some point. They might climb. Don't worry. I think we had them higher last week. Last rankings, if I'm not mistaken, too.
Also, hockey update. History is repeating itself. The Boston Bruins have blown a 3-1 lead in the series. We are going to a Game 7 in Boston coming up on Saturday.
Crazy. These playoffs are wild, man. Jared, don't remind me. Boston Bruins finding ways to keep history just.
Oh, you're a Bruins fan? Oops.
Knicks Philly game is intense right now. Yeah, I mean that series has been one of the more underrated series, the Knicks and the Sixers. It's been an interesting series. All right, let's get to number 4 on our power rankings, and we have the Baltimore Orioles. Baltimore Orioles here at number 4. Baltimore is 20-11, leading the American League East over the Yankees by a game. 6-4 in their last 10, 12-7 at home, taking care of business where they need to. But Gunnar Henderson for AL MVP, anybody? I feel like there's still plenty of season, but several expected candidates. But the 22-year-old shortstop, one of the best players right now on a projected World Series contender. So you got to take that into account. But we have the Baltimore Orioles here at number 4.
Yeah, you take a look at Baltimore, and it's one of those things, like we mentioned every week we talk about them, and I'll say the same thing. The turnaround that they did, they did the rebuild right. They got young guys in the draft. You know, they took care of business. They did what they needed to do, and then you go out and you get a 100-win season last year. Obviously, it didn't end the way they wanted, but they're here now. They're 20-11, and I'm not going to lie. When they came to Pittsburgh and lost 2 or 3, and they threw the game away, literally, they threw one of the games away, I was thinking to myself, like, okay, this is the youth showing. They're going to bring it back. And then they sweep the Red Sox. They have a tough series against the Brewers, but then they handle business against the Twins, the Royals, the Angels. Then they lost 2 to the Athletics. So then again, you're like, okay, what's going on in Baltimore? And then they come out and they take 3 or 4 from the Yankees. So this is a team that I had talked about that has a mix of youth and veterans. This is a team that I had projected to win the East by a game over the Yankees. I expect them to be 1-2 all season. This is a team that is just star-studded with young guys that were number 1 draft picks or near the top. You know, Rushman, Henderson, Santander, Westberg, Mountcastle, Mullins, Colton Cowser. You know, these are guys that can all hit the seams off the baseball. And, you know, Adley Rushman's batting .310. You got Gunnar right there, 272. You know, these guys have 45 homers, 150-plus RBIs. They have speed. They have power. They got guys in all the positions, all the right spots. They almost have too many guys. And then we also talked about, Chris, the other day we talked about with Jackson Holiday and all the stress that's on him. He got sent back down. Yeah. You know, there's just so much talent, and, you know, obviously with that comes pressure, and, you know, that's a whole nother side story for Jackson. But this is a team that can compete day in and day out against anybody. And then with their pitching, you know, Corbin Burns, you get him in the off season. You're doing things right, you know. And then you know, you get Kyle Bradish back, who was another stud for them last year. This is a team that if they can get their starting rotation down, can be scary. They can definitely push the ALCS and potentially push for a World Series. The AL is going to be tough at the top, but that's, you know, I do see them being up there with the Yankees, being able to, can they handle the pressure situations? Can they go in there and do that? And I think when they added Corbin Burns, it gave them that extra step and that extra motivation of having a veteran leadership in the locker room, be able to push these young guys to know how to handle these situations and things like that. That this is a scary Baltimore team that could take it all this season.
Yeah, we said previously this is probably the highest ceiling of probably any team in the Major League Baseball landscape, right? I mean, it's that dangerous. Yeah. Good night, OU. Thanks for popping in. Good to have you in. Have a fantastic rest of your nights. All right, let's get to number 3, and we have the Atlanta Braves coming in here at number 3. Atlanta obviously has been top of our rankings for a majority of the season, kind of bouncing between, you know, these top, you know, 5 somewhere in this mix, and they continue to be here. 20-9, 690 win percentage as we sit, half game above the Phillies, who we just spoke of. Highest point differential in the division, plus 48, and 6-4 in their last 10. So they are going to be one of the teams that, you know, we're going to most likely have at the top of these rankings for the most part. Max Fried began the season with 2 shaky starts, getting only 2 outs against the Phillies after throwing 43 pitches and then allowing 10 hits and 8 runs against the Diamondbacks. but he's looked back to form. He's been doing some good things. Past 2 outings, tossing 92 pitch, 3 hit shutout against the Marlins, then throwing 6 hitless innings against the Mariners. So he's kind of getting back on track. But Atlanta still doing all right to stay at the top of that division.
Yeah, you take a look at them, and if there's not much you need to say about this team, you have Riley, Harris, Acuna, Arcia, Ozuna, Olsen, Albies. You got those guys. So, they're going to be there. They're 29. And like I said, it's going to be them and Philly, I feel like, in this division. You take a look at them. They swept the Marlins. They took 2 or 3 from the Guardians. Then they ran into a kind of a hot team in the Mariners. They lost 2 or 3. But to me, tomorrow is when we see who they really are this year. They take on the Dodgers in a series. So, you already talked about it with Max Fried. They have Chris Sale, who's come back from all those injuries and has a sub 3.5 ERA. Reynaldo Lopez with a 1.5. Morton with a 3.6. And then you got the bullpen with Minter and all those guys being as good as they are. They have a 3.5 team ERA, but their bullpen is as good as anybody's. And then we're not even talking about the fact that they lost Spencer Strider as well to his elbow injury. So this is another team that just keeps, it's the next man up. The cog's still turning. This is a team that I see being there for the NLCS. I see them possibly even making it to the World Series. But like I said, the Dodgers are going to have something to say about that. And I feel like Philadelphia is going to have something to say about that. So, the NL is going to be a very fun race come playoff time. I think if the Braves can stay healthy and their pitching can stay healthy, I see no reason why these guys can't be at the top or near the top, at least in the East, and being a championship contender for baseball this year.
Honestly, they're like the Dodgers. They have all the talent in the world. They have everything they can ask for. The regular season means nothing. We'll see who they are in the playoffs. Really, they should be in the World Series. There's only one team that can stop the Braves, and it's the Braves. I mean, they've been their own worst enemy the last couple of postseasons. Yeah, we'll see who they are when it comes to October, if they can get back over the hump and get back to the World Series, or if they just keep crumbling like the Dodgers do. Will they be the next iteration of the Dodgers? Or can they keep getting over that hump? Can they actually make it far regularly?
Yeah, 100%. Speaking of Dodgers, that's who we have here at number 2.
Yep.
Dodgers coming in here, just representing the top of this list. And they're ahead of the NL West by a pretty good margin. Padres and the Giants are chasing them, both 4.5 games back of the Dodgers. It's the biggest lead of any top team in any one division across Major League Baseball. Just goes to show you about, what the NL West looks like. But 8-2 in their last 10, by far the best team from a run differential standpoint in the entire National League. And not by far, but them and the Atlanta Braves both have top. They separate themselves from a scoring standpoint. But overall, still doing a lot of good things and taking advantage of some, wins early on in the season to get their cushion that they have in this division.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you to Sarah Diacola for the happy birthdays. I appreciate it.
Happy birthday.
You guys are legendary. Thank you. I appreciate
Happy
it. Thank you.
Shout out
I'm
to
only
Doc.
21, I swear.
Yeah. Happy pierogi sandwich.
Yeah, right. The pierogi pickle monstrosity. Yeah. Thank you, Chad. I appreciate it. But yeah, with the Dodgers, I mean, Chris, remember we were talking about last week with the anomaly of their hitting and pitching and the strikeouts and everything. Well, I think they heard what we said, because they went out and handled business against the Nationals, the Jays, and then took 2 or 3 from the Diamondbacks. And like I said, but we just said prior to, with the Braves, can they actually seal the deal? Can they go all the distance? 20-13 with what they got. To me, this is a team, again, you talk about the star-studded power they have: Ohtani, Betts, Hernandez, Freeman, Smith, Muncy. You could go on and talk about their hitting. They're batting 271 as a team. I mean, Mookie Betts literally has a 3.2 WAR, which is absolutely astounding, with a 377 average. Ohtani's batting 336. You got Hernandez with 22 RBIs, Smith with 24. He's batting 355. So there's no reason, that this lineup, there's no reason that these guys can't keep that up. We've seen it in years past. It's all about, we say blah, 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 regular season. They're great. They're everything, but come postseason, can they seal the deal is my question. With their pitching, you take a look at Glass now, the 2.72 ERA, former Pirate. Again, my Pirate misery comes back to strike and haunt me. Yamamoto's out here with a 2.9. Yarborough, the reliever, is doing really good. Paxton's doing all right. Gavin Stone needs to pick it up a little bit, but, for the most part, as long as the pitching stays where it's at, they're going to be fine. But come down to it, it's going to be who's going to be the arm if they end up getting into a series with a team and they have to, go the distance with some pitching. You got Glass now and Yamamoto, but then after that, are you going to rely on Landon Knack, who has 3 games pitched? Are you going to rely on James Paxton, who has been hot and cold entire career? Gavin Stone, again, are you going to rely on that throughout the entire year? So, and Rec already knows he's going to mention Joe Kelly, so I'm going to mention that right now. So, for this Dodgers team, it's just all about, can they get over that hump? Can they get to the mountaintop? I feel like this is a team that they can. And just remember, Ohtani isn't even pitching. So I feel like if he can get healthy next year, this is going to be a team again. If they can keep that core, could even be even deadlier. But the Dodgers, to me, are right up there with the Braves as a favorite. Obviously, they're also being betted on as being one of the favorites to win the World Series. So I'm all about the Dodgers, but I need to see them get over that mountaintop first.
Yeah. So one of the big pieces here, Yamamoto, he had a horrible start to the season. He's picked it up a lot to go from around a 5 ERA to under 3. So he had a rough welcome to the MLB, but he's getting back in the swing of things. And if he keeps this up, the ERA is going to keep going down. All of his stats are going to go down with the wins and strikeouts going up. If he can become that ace, that's just another level of insanity for this team. But again, they're gonna win a bunch of games here. We'll see what happens in 5 months.
Exactly. Hey, you know what? Dodgers are the Dodgers, right? I mean,
yep. Only team that can beat them is themselves as well.
True. Which takes us to our number 1 team in the power rankings for the week of May 2nd. And we have none other than the Minnesota Twins. Now, again, what did we preface this as? This ranking is based off of how teams are playing now, and there's not a hotter team in Major League Baseball right now than the Minnesota Twins, currently riding the longest win streak, 10 straight games. Started out 7-13, and now we're 17-13. Still good enough for second to last above the Chicago White Sox in the AL Central. But
which is crazy.
The fact that you can win this early in the season, 10 straight games, and you're second to last place in your division. That just it's kind of wild. But I mean, within that 10-game win streak, it was a series against the White Sox, the Angels, and the White Sox again. But also, too, they've been getting healthier, right? They activated Max Kepler, Carlos Correa, Duran from the IL. So they've been doing a little bit of amending when it comes to some of the players that have been on the IL. So it's been good, though. It's been good. A couple series against some maybe some middle of the road or bad teams. You'll take that all day, every day, right?
Right. And I mean, just remember, guys, this is just for basically like a week or two. This isn't the actual power rankings starting from opening day. Yes, we get it. They swept the White Sox twice and then the Angels. We get it. Okay. But they've won 10 in a row regardless. And yes, it is early. There's a whole lot of baseball left to be played. It's 1 month. If some people have been going completely overreacting with this stuff, I'm just being a realist. It's just what it is right now. Okay. They were 7-13. They hit this part of the schedule where everybody figured they were going to win. Now they're going to go play Boston tomorrow. So if they can continue that, this is a Minnesota team that I had projected to win the Central, not by running away because I had Cleveland right behind them, but this is a team that's batting 238. So they're still trying to find themselves. Castro's batting 270. He's got their most at bats with 100. So that tells you what's going on with the injury bug there in Minnesota. Santana has been dreadful. He's only batting 182. But to answer your question about Correa, he's been okay. He's been hurt. The last 7 games haven't been very favorable for him. He's batting 192. He hasn't struck out a lot. That hasn't done much. He's coming back off of injury, which is what most of Minnesota is, I feel like, coming off of. So, it's just them getting their legs back. I feel like this is a team that can get there. I'm obviously not going to overreact and say that they're going to win out, or anything like that, where they're going to have a 100-win season. This is, again, one of the ones that had the lowest win percentage to win their division. I think they're a 92-win team or even a 90-win team, so I'm not going to get crazy. But long as they can get healthy, Buxton's only batting 250. He only has one homer on the season. This is a team that's struggling to find its footing offensively. Pitching-wise, their starters are okay. Joe Ryan's been good, but the rest of them have been pretty bad. They all have above 4 ERAs. And if you remember last year, the Twins were one of the best pitching teams across the board. So I feel like if that doesn't turn itself around, they're going to be in deep trouble. We take a look at what happened in Houston. It's kind of been better for them. Obviously, they played arguably, 2 of the worst teams, especially the White Sox, getting 7 wins, 7 of those 10 being from the White Sox. But this is a team that I feel like should be performing better, and I feel like they will once they get healthy. I just feel like this is a team that hasn't reached its potential yet.
And also, 17-13 in the AL Central, if you told me that would have been the 4th best team in the division, I would have laughed at you. Like I had this whole division, I figured this was like a race to 82 or even 80, and here we are, we have 4 teams that are doing good. Of course, the Twins, even with the fact that they haven't played great competition over these last 10 games, you can only play who's on your schedule. And even then, winning 10 out of 10 against anybody in the league is borderline impossible. And this does give them momentum going into these hardest series, like against Boston. So you do get that momentum wave. How long does it last? Who knows? But do they become do they play up to this ability that they played with, or does it all come crashing down like it was a fluke? We'll find out. But now they've won 10 out of 10 games. That's impressive, no matter what. And someone's going to either break out or the team's just going to fall apart, and we'll see.
Well, there you go. Minnesota, number 1, hottest team. That's our power rankings for the week. Royals, Mariners, Brewers, Guardians, Yankees, Phillies, Orioles, Braves, Dodgers, and Twins. Guys.
Emphasis on win and twin.
Just remember, who was number 1 last week?
The New York Mets.
Ago, yep.
Hey.
And they're nowhere to be found.
Yeah, they gone. What happened to them, huh? I guess
lost 2-3 to St. Louis.
We need another one. We need another one. That's what we need. All right, guys. Well, that's going to take us to the end of the show.